Good morning, children. So today we are going to begin with a new chapter, that is classification of elements and periodicity in the properties. So as the number of known elements they were increasing, it became impossible to study individually the chemistry of those known elements and their compounds, right? So scientists they started to investigate the possibility of classifying the elements. So there were a number of scientists who worked on this classification of elements. Who were they? You have already studied about them, like Daubigny was there, Newland had also proposed his classification, even Mendeleev had proposed his classification, but all of these scientists, their work had some or the other problem in the classification and therefore their theory was discarded, right? So it was Mendeleev only who had lot of insight about the periodic table. So his theory was considered to be very close to classifying most of the elements in a very proper manner. So he classified all the then known elements, around 63 to 65 elements, into a periodic table. So what is now periodic table? That we need to understand. So the arrangement of elements in order of increasing atomic masses. Here I am talking on the basis of what Mendeleev had done, right? So the arrangement of elements he had done in order of increasing atomic masses with elements having similar properties in the vertical columns, right? This was known as periodic table. So periodic table, it was a table which classified the elements in such a way that elements having similar properties, they were grouped together in the same vertical column, and dissimilar elements, they were separated from one another. The aim of classification of these elements, they made the study more easier. Is this point very clear to all of you? So today we shall begin not with the Daubigny's theory or with the Newland's theory. In class 11 we begin with Mendeleev's periodic table. Okay. Mendeleev's periodic table. Now you have already learnt about Mendeleev's periodic table. So here it will be a kind of revision for you about Mendeleev's periodic table. So what were the main advantages of Mendeleev's periodic table? So Mendeleev, he had arranged the elements between hydrogen and uranium. How? In order of increasing atomic masses. So that was Mendeleev's periodic law also. What was Mendeleev's periodic law? It stated that the physical and chemical properties of elements were the periodic function of their atomic masses, right? So first thing that he had done, he had arranged all the elements with similar properties in vertical column, that was called as groups. So he said the vertical columns as groups and horizontal rows as periods. So this was he was the first scientist who had arranged all the elements into groups and periods. Then what was the second work that he did? The systematic study of the elements was his basic criteria. There was no doubt that Mendeleev's periodic system, it is superior to all the earlier classifications of the elements, right? The properties of the elements placed in the group, they can be easily studied, or we may say that the studies can be systematically done. So here his work was a very systematic study of elements. Okay. So what was the systematic study? Firstly, he had arranged all the then known elements into increasing atomic masses. He arranged all the then known elements into increasing atomic masses. Okay. Then what was the third point? Discovery of new elements. He was a far-sighted scientist. Okay. So he left gaps in the periodic table. Why? For all those undiscovered elements, but their properties were predicted in advance. Right? So he left gaps in between. So do you remember those gaps? What were they called as? They were called as Eka aluminium and Eka silicon, which were discovered later. So Eka aluminium, what was Eka aluminium called? Discovered as? It was discovered as gallium later, and Eka silicon was discovered as germanium, right? So how did he give the name Eka over here? Means the space just before aluminium, the gap just before silicon. These gaps were left thinking that these properties, whenever the element will be discovered, will be placed here, and those discovered elements were gallium and germanium. I hope till here it's very clear. Then the fourth important point that he did was correcting all the atomic masses. Correction of all the atomic masses. Now here try to understand. What did he do? Firstly, you understand atomic mass of any element. It is always related with equivalent mass of the element by the following example, right? Atomic mass is always equal to equivalent mass of the element, okay, into valency. This was the way how he had taken out the atomic mass of different elements. What was it? Equivalent mass of the element into the valency. So the valency of the element could be known from its position in the periodic table, right? So this formula was utilized in the correction of the atomic masses of many elements. For example, I can give you one example, like when Mendeleev presented the periodic table, the atomic mass of beryllium was not correctly known. Okay, so what did he do? He took the equivalent mass 4.55, right? And it was thought that the element, this element beryllium, it possessed valency 3. So 4.55 into 3 according to this. So what was the total atomic mass? Total atomic mass came out to be 13.65. So on the basis of this value of atomic mass, it had been placed in the periodic table, where just after the position of carbon, which was atomic mass 12. Is that clear? So this way he had corrected most of the atomic masses also. So lot of work Mendeleev had done, but still his theory was discarded. Now what was the reasons for his theory getting discarded? So let us understand that. So now coming to demerits of Mendeleev's periodic table. So what was the first demerit? The position of hydrogen. So on account of the dual nature of this hydrogen, as it shows resemblance with both the alkali metals as well as with halogens, its position was uncertain in the periodic table. It sometimes was placed in the first group with the alkali metals, and sometimes it was placed with the seventh group with the halogens. So the position of hydrogen was not certain. Okay. Then second point, position of isotopes. Now, what are isotopes? Isotopes means having same atomic number but different atomic mass. So when Mendeleev had placed the elements according to the increasing atomic masses, he should have given the isotopes also different places, but he had not done so. So the position was not given to the isotopes also. So this was also one of the drawback. Then third point, the position of lanthanide and actinides. Position of lanthanides and actinides. What was the problem over here? In spite of the fact that members of lanthanide series and actinide series, they had different atomic numbers. These have not been given individual place in the periodic table by Mendeleev, right? And therefore this was also one of the problem. The 14 members of this lanthanide series had been placed along with the lanthanium in the third group and the sixth period, and similarly the 14 members of the actinide series, they were placed along with the actinium in the third group, seventh period. So they were all placed together. So this was also not understood properly. Then position of the eighth group. What? That there were 9 elements in this group and they were all accommodated how? In only 3 available positions. So this group was present between where? 7 and the 0 groups. This was not justified as well. Then the fifth point was about the variable valency. Right? Mendeleev's periodic table showed only one valency for an element, which is not true. Why? Because the number of elements have variable valencies also. So that was not explained by him. Then 6th point, similar elements, they were separated out. Similar elements were separated. Okay, so over here certain elements which showed similar properties, they had been separated in the Mendeleev's periodic table. For example, silver and thallium, right? Copper and mercury, they show similar properties, but they were placed in the different groups. So similar elements, they were separated. There were dissimilar elements that were placed together in the same group. Okay. What did I say? Dissimilar elements were placed together in the same groups. So elements showing dissimilarities, they were all placed in one group. For example, over here, the coinage metals, right, like copper, silver, gold, they have been placed with the alkali metals in the first group. So that was also a drawback. Then the 8th point, the anomalous pairs. Like for example, cobalt, which had atomic mass 58.94, this was placed before nickel, which had 58.68. So 58.68 should have been placed before cobalt, but cobalt was placed before nickel. So there were anomalous pairs also. Few of the anomalous pairs were also found in Mendeleev's periodic table. So these were certain reasons why his theory was discarded. Clear? Then came Moseley. Right? So Moseley, he studied the X-ray spectrum of various elements and he proved that atomic number actually was the fundamental property of the elements. Therefore, Mendeleev's periodic table was now modified by Moseley in 1913. Okay, and he gave the modern periodic law. So Moseley, he gave what? Modern periodic law. So what is modern periodic law? According to this, the physical and chemical properties of the elements, they are the periodic function of the atomic numbers. What is modern periodic law? That the physical and chemical properties of the elements, right, they are the periodic function of their atomic numbers. Clear? So when elements, they were arranged in the increasing order of the atomic numbers, then these elements with similar properties, they repeated their property at a regular interval of time. So this was called as the periodicity in the properties. Thus, based on modern periodic law, the long form of periodic table was proposed, and till date we now study the modern periodic table. Okay, so the properties of the elements, it get repeated after a regular interval of time, and this is called as periodicity. So here once again Moseley, he had proposed the Mendeleev's periodic table, some of the properties of Mendeleev's periodic table forward, that the elements, they were classified into groups and periods. So let us talk about periods and then we'll talk about groups. That what are periods? The horizontal rows are termed as periods. That means what are periods? When we move from left to right, when we move like this, then it is called as a period. And these periods, how are they numbered as? They are numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on, right? From top to bottom. The period number, it always corresponds to the value of n. That is your principal quantum number, right? For the outermost or the valence shell of the atoms of the elements belonging to that period. Then if you check the periodic table, then the first, second, right? First is called as the shortest period. First period, it is the shortest period. How many elements are present over here? Only 2 elements are present over here. Then the second period and the third period, they are called as the short periods. Okay, because here how many elements are present? Here 8 elements are present. Here how many? 2 elements are present. Okay, and here how many? 8 elements are present. Clear? Therefore they are called as short periods. Followed by the fourth period and the fifth period. They both are called as long periods. They both are termed as long periods. Why? 18 elements are present here. Okay. Why are they called as long period? Because 18 elements are present over here. Right. Then we come to the sixth period. This is called as the longest period. Now why is the sixth period called as the longest period? Because it contains 32 elements. Fine. And the seventh period, it is called as incomplete period. I hope about period everything is very clear to you. Now let us talk about groups. What are groups? These are the vertical columns. When I say vertical columns means we are moving from top to bottom. In period we were moving from left to right like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and in groups we are going to move how? 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, vertical columns. Got it? So vertical columns, when we say, we move from top to bottom over here. So according to IUPAC, these groups have been numbered how? 1 to 18, right? And earlier they were given Roman numbers, but now they have been numbered as 1 to 18. So if you remember the Roman numbers, I will be using the Roman numbers also to explain you, because generally the books, they give the Roman numbers. Okay, so let us discuss all these groups over here that we know. So 1A, what is 1A called as? It is called as the alkali metals. Okay, then 2A, 2A is called as alkaline earth metals, right? Then coming to 1A, what are 1A elements called as? They are called as alkali metals. Why are they called as alkali metals? Because when they dissolve in water, they form strong alkalis. Then we have 2A. What are they termed as? Alkaline earth metals. Now what are alkaline earth metals? They also dissolve in water, but they form weak alkalis. Then you have 3B, then 4B, then 5B, okay, then 6B, and then 7B, and 8 has 3 parts. What are they? They are from group 8 to 10. All these, they don't have a certain name assigned to them, right? Then coming to 1B. 1B elements, what are they called as? They are called as coinage metals, right? Then you have 2B. Now this 2B also doesn't have any name given to it. Then 3A. 3A, what is that? It is called as a boron family, right? Then 4A, it is called as a carbon family. Next one, 5A. What is 5A called as? They are termed as nitrogen family, or also termed as nicogens. Okay. Then next, 6A. 6A elements, they are called as chalcogens. Then 7A elements, what are they called as? Halogens, very common. So why are they termed as halogens? Because they are salt formers, therefore they are also termed as halogens. Then next, after this comes your zero group. So what are your zero group elements termed as? They are termed as inert gases, right? Also termed as acrogens. I hope all this is very clear. Now look at all these groups. You will find A or B. That means these groups have been divided into 2 subgroups. What are they? Subgroup A and subgroup B. So subgroup A, what are they termed as? They are called as representative elements, or also called as normal elements. Why? Because most of the properties of that particular group is found over here. Okay. And what is the peculiarity of this group? The outermost shell is incomplete. Then subgroup B, what are they called as? They are termed as transition elements. Okay. And if you check over here, when I say subgroup B, I'm talking from 3 to 12, okay? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What are they? They are all transition metals. And what is the peculiarity of transition metals? Their two penultimate shells are incomplete. Their two outermost shells are incomplete. Representative elements, their only outer shell is incomplete. Is that very clear to all of you? Then your lanthanide and actinide series, they are part of which group? Group 3. Okay? And this 3B. Transition elements are part of 3B and which period? 6th period and the 7th period. Okay? So this is what you had to understand today. What are the blocks that you have seen there? There are S block, P, D and F block elements, right? So what are S block elements? These are the first two groups, 1 and 2. They are in the S block elements, right? And what is the general configuration of this S block element? It is NS1 or NS2. This is the general configuration that we have over here. Now let us talk about P block elements. P block element ranges from where? From 13 to 18. Okay. And what is the electronic configuration? The general electronic configuration for P block elements is NS2 NP. Now this NP can be 1, NP2, NP3, NP4 and so on. It ranges from 1 to 6. Followed? Then coming to D block elements. D block elements, they are the transition elements. Okay. The D block elements, the middle one is your transition element. So it ranges from 3rd group to 12th group. From 3rd group to 12th group, what do we study? They are D block elements. And what is the general configuration for D block? It is N minus 1 D to the power 1. It ranges from 1 to 10. Then NS, it ranges from 0 to 2. Okay. This is the configuration for D block elements. And let us talk about F. What are F? They are the inner transition elements, that is the lanthanide and the actinide series, which is placed very low in the periodic table. So for F block elements, what should be the general formula? These are the inner transition elements. Configuration is N minus 2 F, which ranges from 0 to 14, right? Then N minus 1 D, which ranges from 0 to 1, NS2. This is the general formula for F block elements. I hope till here everything is clear. Now, let us understand the advantages of the long form of periodic table. This periodic table, it is based on the electronic configuration of the elements, which makes the study of the electronic configuration of the elements easier. Then the alkali metals and the coinage metals, they have been marked dissimilarities. Why? They have been placed in the separate places in group 1 and group 2 respectively. Otherwise, earlier they were all jumbled up, they were placed together. The electronic configuration and properties, they help us to know the position of the element in the periodic table, right? Then the elements present in a particular group, they have same number and the same distribution of electrons in the outermost shell, even in the subshell, and the orbitals also the same. Then the reactive elements, they have been placed where? In group 1 and in group 2, where? In the S block elements, right? The heavy metals, they have been placed in the D block elements, that is between 3rd group to 12th group, that is the transition elements of the D block elements. So all the non-metals, where have they been placed? from in the P block element, that is 13 to 18. So it has become very systematic to understand, right? And even the division of the block S, P, D, F, it has made the study more simple and gives a very logical explanation. So these were some of the benefits, we may say, or the advantages of the long form which was proposed by Moseley. But again, there are slight defects that are found in the periodic table, but they are so minor that they have to be avoided. But we should know what are those defects. So the first point is your position of the hydrogen in the periodic table, right? Even the lanthanide and actinide series, they have not been accommodated in the main body, but it's good. It has been placed at the bottom. It does not distort the shape of the periodic table. Then according to the electronic configuration, helium should have been placed in the S block, whereas where it has been placed? It has been placed in the P block. But that is also not a big issue because helium is a inert gas, so it has been placed with a inert gas. So the defects that are found in the periodic table, they have to be neglected because they are of no much importance. I hope till here everything is clear. So then we come to the nomenclature of elements with atomic numbers greater than 100. This is what we are going to learn today also in this video. So recently, elements having atomic numbers from 104 to 118 have been discovered, right? So IUPAC suggested certain rules for naming these elements whose atomic number is more than 100. So what are the rules? First I will tell you the rule, and then I am also going to explain you how the name has been given to them. So the names of the elements having the atomic number more than 100, they are derived directly from the atomic number of that particular element using the numerical roots for 0 and for numbers all from 1 to 9. How? You may understand like this. I am giving you a table over here with which will be very easy for you to understand. Okay. So the first one I am going to talk about the digits. Then in the second part I will tell you about the root. And in the third part, let me talk about the abbreviation. Okay, and see how simple it will be for naming them. So if there is 0, okay, the digit is 0 in the number, then what is the root word that we use over there? NIL, nil, right? And for this nil, what abbreviation are we going to use? N. Got it? Then let us talk about 1. When there is a digit 1, then the root word that will be given to it will be un, 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 and the abbreviation given to it will be U. Followed? Then if there is a number 2 there, so what are we going to give the root name to it? Bi. And what will be the abbreviation for it? B. Then if the number is 3, in this number, atomic number, wherever this number 3 comes, okay, then what are we giving the root word as? Tri. And the abbreviation will be T. Then when 4 comes, the number 4, then we use the word quad. Okay, and the abbreviation used will be Q. Then if there is a number 5, then what are we going to use? Pent. And the abbreviation used over here will be P. Then if the number is 6, okay, then what do we use? Root word will be hex and your abbreviation will be H. Then if the number is 7, then the root word will be sept, S-E-P-T, sept, and your abbreviation will be S. Then if it is 8, right, then it will be oct and your abbreviation will be O. And if it is 9, then we name it as NENN and the abbreviation will be E. Got it? So when we get all these digits, all these numbers like 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 5, 106, 109, then so how many elements are known? 118 elements are known. Okay, so all the combinations can be taken from here. So let us begin with the number 101, that is 101. So what is the name given to 101? It is as unilunium. Now how did it get this word unilunium? Now look over here. Un means 1. Un means 1. Nil means 0. Okay. And un again means 1. So this gives you 101. So what is the symbol given to 101 or 101? It is UN and the abbreviation for 1 will be U. So UN, U is the symbol for 101. Now come to 102. What is the name given to 102? Unnilbium. How unnilbium? Un means 1, nil means 0, bi means 2, 102. Check this list and you can search from there. Then what is the symbol given to it? UN and 2 is what? B. Okay, this is the abbreviation given to it. Then let's talk about 104. What is the name given to it? Unnilquodium. Unnilquodium. Let's see why. Un means 1, nil means 0, quad means 4. So 104. Unnilquodium. What is the name for it? UNQ. Quodium. Where is quodium? Q. Okay, so this is the symbol given to it. This way you can go till 109. What is 109? Called as unnilium. UN, right? NILENNIUM. So un means 1, nil means 0 and NENN. What is that? 9. So what is the symbol for this? UNE. UNE is for 109. I hope you are getting it. Okay. Now let me tell you for 110. What will be the name for 110? Unnillium. Unnillium means UNNILIUM. Now how? Unnillium. Un means 1, un means 1, nil means 0. Unnillium. And what is the symbol given to it? The symbol will be UNN. Okay. UN. N is for what? 0. N is for 0. So UNN. This way let us come to now 101. 111. Now what name should be given to this? Onium. Onium. Okay. How? Un means 1, un means 1, un means 1. Okay. So onium. And what is the symbol for it? U. This is the symbol for 111. Then maybe we come to 115 now. 115, what is the name for it? Pentium. Pentium. Pent 5. Pentium. And what is the symbol? UUP. I hope you are understanding. Then lastly 118. What will be the name for 118? Octium. Octium. Right? So is 1, octium is 8, 118. So what will be the symbol for 118? UUO. This way, if more elements are discovered easily, their names can also be given along with the symbol. So that's all for today. Try to name all other elements that I have not written over here and learn their names well. Thank you.